is this, will this make its
sort of
way
a minority
into,
report, this kind of thing.
yeah, will this make its way into, or maybe you call it direct manipulation of objects with your hands and your fingers? Will this make its way into mainstream, let's say, laptop computers as a new UI or an additional part of the UI, or is that just a
Well, but go beyond the laptop.
specialized devices?
Vision, software is doing vision. And so, imagine a game machine where you just can pick up the bat and swing it, or the tennis racket and swing it.
Yeah, we have one.
No, that's not it. You can't pick up your tennis racket
Oh, I see what you mean,
and
yeah.
swing it. You can't sit there with your friends and do those natural things. That's a 3D positional device. This is video recognition. This is a camera seeing what's going on. And, in a meeting, like you're on a video conference, you don't know who's speaking when they're audio only, things like that. The camera will be ubiquitous. Now, of course, we have to design the way that people's expectations about privacy are handled appropriately, but software can do vision, and it can do it very, very inexpensively. And that means this stuff becomes pervasive. You don't just talk about it being in a laptop device. You talk about it being part of the meeting room or the living room or...
But on the laptop, the way that, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is what we have is great and we don't need any new big radical change, but when I turn on my laptop, whether it's my Vista laptop or my Mac laptop, there have been improvements, but it's a lot like it was 10 years ago. It's much better, the graphics are better and all that.
We talked about that radical change.
You have the mouse,
for both your
you
companies.
have the icons you move around, you have and you talked about what a big gamble it was in '84 to do that and then follow on with Windows. We still essentially have that approach, and I'm just wondering, is that going to change?
Touch, ink, speech, vision, those things come in, but they don't come in as a radical substitute. I think you're also underestimating the degree of evolution, because you've lived with it year by year. Say we'd sent you away for 10 years and you came back and you said, wow, there's a search paradigm, and that's more at the center of how you find these things. There's tagging, that's more at the center of how you find these things. The evolution is a very good thing. In fact, even in that evolution, the stuff we did with Office, there's this balance you strike where when you make a change, in that case the ribbon, you're going to have some users who feel like, oh geez, I have to spend a little bit of time to be brought along to that. But there has been good evolution, but these natural interface things are the revolutionary change, and they'll be very revolutionary. That together with the 3D that I talked about.
See? I know you're working on something. It's going to be beautiful. We'll see.
Yeah, you can't talk about it, but Bill discusses all his secret plans. You don't discuss any.
I know it's not fair, but it's I think the question is a very simple one, which is how much of the really revolutionary things people are going to do in the next 5 years are done on the PCs, or how much of it is really focused on the post-PC devices. And there's a real temptation to focus it on the post-PC devices because it's a clean slate, and because there are more focused devices, and because they don't have the legacy of these zillions of apps that have to run in zillions of markets. And so I think there's going to be tremendous revolution in the experiences of the post-PC devices. And the question is how much to do in the PCs. And I'm sure Microsoft is. We're working on some really cool stuff, but some of it has to be tempered a little bit because you do have these tens of millions in our case, or hundreds of millions in Bill's case, users that are familiar with something that they don't want a car with 6 wheels. They like a car with 4 wheels. They don't want to drive with a joystick. They like the steering wheel. And so, you have to, as Bill was saying, in some cases you have to augment what exists there, and in some cases you can replace things. But I think the radical rethinking of things is going to happen in a lot of these post-PC devices.
I'm going to ask a more personal question. We have just a minute before we're going to open up for questions. What's the greatest, I'm not going to call this the Barbara Walters moment and ask you what tree you'd like to be, but
you would like to be Barbara Walters, let me just tell you.
No, I would not. What's the greatest misunderstanding, right? But thank you, Steve, about your relationship? I mean, you're obviously going to go down in history as history books already said kind of thing. But what's the greatest misunderstanding between you and your relationship and about each other? What would you say would be this idea of catfight, this idea of which one of the many?
We've kept our marriage secret for over a decade now.
Canada, that trip to Canada. Was there?
I don't think either of us have anything to complain about in general. And I know that the project, like the MAC project, was just an incredible thing, a fun thing where we were taking a risk. We did look a lot younger in that video.
You look 12 in the first one.
That's how I try and look.
I was 12.
But it's been fun to work together. And I actually kind of miss some of the people aren't around anymore. People come and go in this industry. It's nice when somebody sticks around and have some context of all the things that have worked and not worked. And the industry gets all crazy about some new thing. There's always this paradigm of the company that's successful is going to go away and stuff like that. It's nice to have people seeing the waves and waves of that, and yet been willing when it counted to take the risk to bring in something new.
Has it been important? One last question, and then we'll go to the audience.
He didn't answer us because he just said this.
I have an answer.
He only talked about his secret gay marriage. So.
I thought that was your answer.
No, that wasn't my answer. When Bill and I first met each other and worked together in the early days, generally we were both the youngest guys in the room, right? Individually or together. I'm about 6 months older than he is, but roughly the same age. And now, when we're working at our respective companies, I don't know about you, but I'm the oldest guy in the room most of the time. And that's why I love being here. And so,
happy to oblige. Happy to oblige.
And I think of most things in life as either a Bob Dylan or a Beatles song. But there's that one line in that one Beatles song, you and I have memories longer than the road that stretches out ahead. And that's clearly true here.
Well, you know what? I think we should end it there. Let's just end it there.
I'm having a little tear right here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to ask you questions. Oh, standing O.
Have you ever had a standing O?
No.
I don't know.
Toilet.
No.
Whoa.
Handle's pretty good.
Wow. Okay, so some audience questions.
Questions? Can we have the lights?
Roger Mack
Roger.
from Elevation Partners. Hey guys, that was incredible. Thank you very much. We've got a big election coming up next year. I'm curious if there are any issues that you see in Silicon Valley that we all ought to be focused on communicating effectively to the next potential president of the United States. That is any common ground that we share, because it's weird, you don't actually hear any issues that people are talking about right now. I'm curious if you guys have any in mind.
Well, certainly education is one that I'd put at the top of the list.
Are there technological solutions right now that they could do something about, or is that just sort of like...
No, the technology is going to be helpful and more, but the way that teachers are measured and made excellent, the way that the high schools are designed, the expectations they have, it's not just